Well, we do have a game tomorrow.
It doesn't seem like we do, to be honest.
Apparently,
Seems like we've got a pantomime tomorrow. Oh, God. How do we even assess this game tomorrow? Because we got no players. We've got 11 fit players. Well, we've got 12 or 13 fit players if you want to include Scarlett in there. Up against a rampant Dortmund side that are going very well in their league. We're level on points with them in the Champions League table. It's a very big game in the dynamics of the group. If we win, which is, very unlikely, we got a chance to really make that top 8 spot our own. Because with that game against Frankfurt in the last game next week, if we win the 2 games, then I'm pretty certain that we will finish in the top 8. I think we need 1 point, from the 2 games to solidify our spot in the top 24.
I think if we lose both, I reckon we still make it. But I think if you want to put away any doubt, you probably need a point to do it. So could we get a point either tomorrow or Frankfurt? Maybe, hopefully. And not the way we're playing. But yeah, Dortmund are having a good season. They're the second highest goal scorers in the whole group stage at the moment in the Champions League. However, they are also, I think, in near the top for goals conceded. They scored 19 and conceded 13. So they're a very open, entertaining side. They've been playing a back three system this season, a 3-4-3, but a very attacking 3-4-3 with very attacking wing backs. It's going to be one hell of a task. This is not something, Dortmund go up and down, don't they? But this is a pretty decent Dortmund side we're facing now. They are a very distant second to Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga, but they're also quite comfortably second as well. So they are they're not to be trifled with. They're a strong attacking team. If you are not on your game, they play beautiful football. They can carve you open. They got Guarati who scores goals for fun. They got pacey winger and Adeyemi.
Guarati is actually not scoring at the rate this season as he has done in previous years.
No, but he's still their top goal scorer.
Yeah.
Adeyemi, he's a pacey winger who's an eye for goal. Brandt is a creator. He's one who's really got that killer ball in him. They've got Ryerson, a wing back who's loves to get forward and loves to put cross in the box, and he gets quite a few assists. They got Joe Bellingham, who's been quite good. Nemecha, who's been scoring some really good goals in the Champions League. He seems to be a really good central midfielder as well. So they got talent all over that pitch.
Players like Jan Couto as well, which was highly sought after fullback, wing back,
Schlotterbeck is one he's been talked about Liverpool, maybe.
Schlotterbeck, yeah. Joe Bellingham.
So this is going to be a tough game. This is not an easy Dortmund side. I think at our best, could we take them on? Yeah, I'm not saying guaranteed to win either way, but I think it could be a close game. I think tomorrow, I just see us being so off it, and we've started games in such a poor manner in recent games. I think if we do that tomorrow, we could easily find ourselves 2 or 3 down.
Yeah, absolutely. If we play like we did against Aston Villa and against West Ham in the first 45 minutes, the game could be done at half-time. Mm-hmm. It really could be. We need to come out firing. We need to come out pressing. We need to come out aggressive. We need to come out like we want to win the game from the off, not just when we're down in the second half trying to recoup the goals that we've conceded in the first half. So we need to show intent from the first whistle tomorrow.
I think it's going to be a backs against the wall kind of job. I don't see us dominating possession. I think Dortmund's going to be the one dominating tomorrow, and we're just going to have to hope for some counters, set pieces. We're going to have to play like we've been playing all season, basically at home, be like the away side essentially. That's what I assume is going to happen tomorrow. Yeah,
it's a shame because when the group stage got drawn, obviously this was highlighted as our biggest game in the group phase, and we've got a decent record against Dortmund. We always seem to do really well against them. I think the last time we lost to them, wasn't it back when we were in the Europa League?
Yeah,
it was some time ago. We've played them quite a few times since then. Our Champions League matchups with them have always been ones to look forward to, haven't they? Always a great atmosphere, always a pretty good performance from Tottenham as well. But the player that's always been a thorn in their side is Son Heung-min, and obviously he's not with us anymore. Harry Kane used to do great jobs against them as well. I remember that time when we had to go there, in the knockout phase of the Champions League after beating them. Well, I think we drew at White Hart Lane, didn't we? Or was it at Wembley? And then we went and won 1-0 away
No, we beat them 3-0 when Vertonghen had
Was
that
it
mad
3?
game.
Oh, that was that. Yeah, we
Yeah.
beat Vertonghen at left back.
Yeah, that was a mad game.
And we beat them 1-0 with Harry Kane.
We've had some good encounters with them. I remember, that one was at Wembley. Vertonghen having that, Llorente scoring a late third as well. That was brilliant. We've had the first Champions League night, I think it was, at Wembley in that season, when Son and Kane absolutely ripped them to shreds with clinical goals. Beautiful. We battered them that day. We beat them as well away from home 2-1 to top the group. It was a group with them, Real Madrid, in it.
Yeah.
That was a great. That was
Sonny
a great
and
night.
Kane.
Sonny and Kane as well. Again, Son was just a killer against them. So we've had some really enjoyable games against Borussia Dortmund. Don't know if this is going to be one of them, but we've had some in the past for sure.
Yeah. That game, though, when we won 1-0, that was a backs against the wall job. Do you remember?
Lloris had a brilliant game.
Yeah, like we came into that game defending because, Dortmund had to throw everything at us, and they did. And we held strong, and then Kane got that goal, and it was just like a weight lifted off our shoulders. Remember, we were there that day, beer flying everywhere in the way, and that was great. And even in the Europa League game at White Hart Lane, do you remember there's that famous clip of Alderweireld, that little skill that he did?
Yeah, that's always does around, even though it says like 5-1 in the corner. He's doing pirouettes in his own. Always like a clip that goes around to show how good he was. But that Europa League, I remember we were just resting players at the time because we were chasing down Leicester, but we let that one go. But yeah, we've had some really great ties against, even in that game, that Europa League game. I think Son even scored in that one when we got battered. But yeah, I think this one's going to be the toughest one yet, probably.
Yeah, obviously the Europa League ones were very tough, but at least we have players to pick from. Now we're just so limited with options.
It's going to be interesting to see how this double pivot does. Gray and Bergvall. Obviously, the youngsters getting a real opportunity due to enforced circumstances, but it's going to be very interesting. They're going to be up against this 3-4-3 system, which, they shouldn't be overrun, but what will be the problem is the wing-backs, because they're going to have these two number 10s tucking inside, Adeyemi and Brandt. They're going to be, running it behind. It's going to be a lot of trouble, kind of Gray and Bergvall having to pick those guys up. You're going to have Romero and Dancer, who are very much proactive defenders. So they're going to be going in on challenges. They're going to be trying to nick the ball. And Gray and Bergvall are going to have a lot of defensive responsibilities, trying to cover, helping out the fullbacks with the wing-backs, going over, trying to keep the centre-mids in check. Also the wingers, Odegaard, Moani, are going to have to be very much going the other way in this one, because I think if you give these wing-backs a free rein, you're asking for trouble. So it's going to be hard to stop them.
Do you think maybe, having said that, it might be better to start Spence in this game than a Doggy?
Maybe.
Because defensively, it might need him.
Yeah, but I feel like a Doggy's our best bet of getting up the pitch as well from that side. So I do still want to see a Doggy. On the flip side, maybe when you got Moani and Odegaard and a Doggy, could there be some opportunities on counters and to try and get in behind them, because they do kind of, as much as they play free at the back, they do commit a lot of players forward and they do kind of leave a bit of space there. But I think our best bet is either properly getting Porro forward and getting him to cross it to Solanke and Moani at the back post, corners. But we're going to have to dig in this game. We're really going to have to dig deep.
It's going to be hard for us. It's going to be hard for us to, keep them out the other end. But actually going forward, there's going to be spaces and gaps for us, isn't there?
They concede goals. They commit players forward. They play with risk. They're one of the highest conceding goals teams in the Champions League for a reason. The games, a lot of their games are chaos. They went to Juve and drew 4-4 earlier in the group stage. It was a crazy game. They've drawn 2-2 with Boda at home as well. They just drew 3-3 with Frankfurt. They have a lot of topsy-turvy games. So if your attacking's on point, you can definitely get at them. But they also are very, very hard to stop. The problem for us is at the moment we're not good at keeping people out and we're not good at scoring. So
even Copenhagen scored a couple against them, 4-2 that day.
Yeah.
You look at Javi Simons and Kolo Muani. Obviously, this is the kind of opposition which they're used to playing. Javi Simons, very good at, and highly rated in the Bundesliga, and so is Kolo Muani. For Frankfurt, that's probably his best time in football was when he was in the number 9 for Frankfurt, scoring a lot of goals. So do you think that can have any impact for us tomorrow?
Maybe. It's a team he knows well, so I think there's always a chance. I think Moani has struggled for sure. His body language hasn't been great recently. Xavi as well knows they both know the Bundesliga, Xavi and Moani. So I think that it's going to be a team in players they know well. So hopefully we can get some sort of advantage there, or some sort of, a bit more kind of, maybe it could be a bit more like a Bundesliga game in a sense, and maybe that could help them. But unfortunately, we're on our last legs at the moment. That's the trouble. But I think that could be something, because they know how to play in space. That's what they do in the Bundesliga. So if Dortmund are going to give them that space, and they are two players who definitely could exploit it.
I'll be so angry with Frank tomorrow if Solanke doesn't even start and he goes for like Scarlett or something. Like I'm all for giving Scarlett his go. But obviously, I'd be angry because of the Tell situation.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine if he does that? I wouldn't even be surprised if he does it.
It'll be crazy. It'll be absolutely nuts if he does that. Tell's as well, another player who knows the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
Yeah, angry playing. It's tough to envisage us getting a result tomorrow, given the circumstances. Even if we do have a good start and we go 1-up or something, given that we don't really have the players to change it and we might tire and that kind of stuff, and we've playing every 3 days, it's tough to envisage like us holding on to any sort of lead we get as well. So, and if we go behind, how are we going to overturn that? I've got no idea.
Well, we haven't done that once this season,
Exactly.
so the only time we win is when we keep a clean sheet, and I can't see us keeping, unless that one game against Leeds, which was the exception to the rule. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to envisage anything positive in this game. And it's not just about the 11-bit players or the 12, whatever the number is. It's about just the general feeling around the club, the feeling from the fans. That's going to kind of get onto the pitch as well.
And heads dropping quickly.
Everything's going to be focused on Thomas Frank pretty much this game, especially from the stands.
Well, he's spoken. We're waiting for his press conference. And he has spoken. Did you take anything from it? He had a few things to say. He said he had lunch with Nick, who's one of the executives, with Vinay, with Johan. He said, it's a good thing that he was having lunch with them, because when there's a storm outside, a lot of people run away and they're not seen having a nice spot of lunch. And he was talking about football and about life.
As they get time to chat.
What do you reckon was said? Do you reckon they gave any inkling about how dangerous, precarious his position is?
Nah,
You don't
doubt
think so?
it. I don't know. Maybe they did, but I don't know what was said in this lunch. I really don't, and it's hard to kind of work out what was said. But like I've said,
it telling that they had lunch with an executive just before, after what's been happening? Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how often they have lunch. He says that he's been heavily backed by the board, and he's spoken about constantly speaking and feeling supported. But I think it's just jargon that he's just going to say every time. Maybe it is a bit telling that he's having meetings with the executives after what's happened and all the news reports that is coming out. And we heard that there was a big boardroom meeting. Whether it happened or not, I don't know.
He's called it just media speculation.
Yeah, it's all bollocks. Like I told you already, like I don't really take too much notice in what Frank says in his press conferences.
What about his body language?
His body language seemed normal.
Normal?
I thought so.
I thought he looked a bit down actually at some points.
Did you?
Yeah, I didn't think he looked that confident, to be honest. I thought there was some of his answers, it was like his voice went a bit meek on occasion. Look, again, I'm not a body language expert, but
You sound like one.
I try and read into things I try to read into I can. I don't know. There was something about his demeanour that didn't look that confident, to be honest. His words were trying to portray confidence, but his body language didn't portray confidence.
Yeah,
for me.
I mean, I didn't watch probably as intensely as you watched it, but from what I saw, it just seemed the same as I've seen in previous press conferences, to be honest. But it's hard to read anything into it because they have their set lines that they're going to say. He obviously knew that he was going to come into these kind of questions before the press conference was started, and he had his set lines of what he was going to say, and he's always going to try and portray an image of support from the club. Like, there's nothing else that he could say.
He was asked about whether he can get the fans back on side. Where was his answer to that? He said...
He basically said if we win games, the fans will be on side.
Yeah, essentially. He says that he's in no doubt that he can get the bring the fans back over.
He's said that week after week. This is not the first time he said it.
I'm in no doubt about that, he said.
He says that week after week. Every week the journalists are telling him to send a message to the fans, and he says the same thing every week. So what are we supposed to read? I told you, it's all kind of just media rubbish that there's not too much you can take away from it. Like, the guy's not going to be here for much longer.
He also was asked about what justification is there to kind of keep him in a job, and if does he where does he see things turning around? Like, because he keeps saying we're close to turning things around and stuff like that. And so people saying what justification is there for you to say that? Like, when are we going to start seeing consistent performances? And he said that we are starting to see consistent performances. In his opinion, in the last 6-7 games, there's been consistent performances.
You see,
there's no results, and as well, he said the last 3 games, Bournemouth, Villa, and West Ham, we easily could have gotten results in those games, and it's just a bit of luck why we didn't, and that's proof that they're getting more consistent performances.
Yeah. It's something I've been saying, that I've seen more in the last few games than I have in previous, like in the last month, I've seen more from the team than I have done in the previous 3 months or whatever. However, it's not enough, because what we're seeing is 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there in games. What he's saying about us being able, could have got a result against West Ham, he's not taking into account that we could have conceded 3 goals in the first half. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He's looking at the game and trying to gloss over the bad moments in the first half where we could have conceded 2 or 3, but then focusing on the good moment in those 10, 15 minutes, where we could have scored a couple of goals. So I think he's being a bit disingenuous, to be honest, when talking about those moments, because yes, there has been moments in games where we've looked decent, 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes here and there. First 15 minutes of the Bournemouth game, last 15 minutes of the Bournemouth game, a 15, 20-minute spell in the second half against West Ham. But it's all just kind of moments and spells. There's never been a game where we've looked brilliant for 90 minutes. The Brentford one's probably the only one this whole season since the first few games. So I'm looking at it and being like, yeah, fine, you might have a point that we've shown 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, but it's nowhere near enough when you've been in the job for 7 months. Yeah,
I agree. And I think he's saying that we could have, if Van der Ven scores his header, if we turn it around against West Ham, if we got that equaliser against Villa, we're all having different conversations. But at the end of the day, you actually analyse those games just objectively. You analyse the full 90 minutes. We didn't deserve to win any of those games. Mm-hmm. We weren't the better team in any of those games. Yes, there were moments where we maybe got it when we were level, when we were close, we could have got taken advantage of it. But if you take the whole 90 minutes of all those games into account, we were not the better team in any of those games. So I don't see how he sits there and says these are the consistent performances to hold us up, in terms of that we can believe in, that we're getting on the right path and we're going in the right direction. I think it's better than what we saw against Chelsea and Arsenal, which is probably some of the worst football the Premier League has ever seen. But that's like the lowest bar you can ever have. If we set records for low XG in those games, records of how bad that was. So if we're going in the right direction compared to those games, yeah, that's fair. But we're still second best. We're still being outplayed by a West Ham team in the relegation zone. We lost to a team in Bournemouth who, yes, are not a bad side, but they were winless in 11, and we deserve to lose, or we deserve to not win that game, in my opinion, albeit we could have won the game. We also could have conceded more goals and we could have lost the game. Villa, we lost 2-0 in the first half. Yes, we had a spell where we rallied a bit, but again, after that spell, his changes screwed things up, and we could have conceded again. They had a shot cleared off the line, and they could feel like, yeah, we could have won that game 3 or 4-1 if we had our finishing boots on as well. So I think it's crazy for him to, and also in this spell he's talking about, there was Brentford away, which was absolutely atrocious. There was Forest away, which was one of the worst performances I've ever seen. Even in the good ones, like Sunderland at home, yes, there was a good 45 minutes, but the second 45 was woeful. Like, in every scenario he's looking at, there is no consistent performances. really. The best one you could probably say was Liverpool, where we were down to 10 men. And yes, I wasn't totally his fault, but yeah, we rallied for a bit. But again, was that a case of we were in a no-lose situation and just threw caution to the wind with 10 men? Like, was the
majority of times Spurs have looked anything decent this season is when the game plan's out the window and we're down 1 or 2-0. That is the reality. Like, can you pinpoint any in the last month or so when we're talking about we've had these moments? Can you pinpoint any moments in game? First half against Sunderland, maybe the first 10 minutes against Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Those are the only ones. Apart from that, when it's the standard game state and we go out and try and deploy our game plan, it's been utter dross. That's the reality, right? We only throw caution to the wind when we have to.
Yeah, he says the fact that we have these turnarounds or attempted turnarounds in the second half goes to show how the team are fighting, the team are running, they're trying it, they're buying into what he's trying to do, and he's saying that's evidence of it, and the fact that they're coming out in the second half with determination to really turn these games around.
I think that it shows that the team have fighting spirit, and it shows that they've got it in them to play a bit of attacking football. But also, it shows when teams like Aston Villa go 2-0 up, they sit back and they try and soak up the pressure. West Ham as well. They sat back as well and they invited pressure onto them.
And we do the same when a lot of the time we go up, the things change.
100%. So the game state changes and it puts the onus more on us to go forward and attack the teams. And yeah, look, like I said, we look decent in 10, 15-minute spells. But then ultimately, like you mentioned, the changes happen from Thomas Frank in the game and the game swings again.
And as well, all we do is give it to Porro and he swings it in. That's most of our attack. The full answer actually was a bit more interesting on the fans. He says, can you win the fans back? He says, I'm in no doubt of that. I think you can say in this game you always need to show resilience. I listened to some interesting things the other day where the 3 biggest things in showing resilience is 1, you have a good values. I see myself as a guy with pretty good values. 2, you know reality. And the reality is 1 in 5 people normally don't like you no matter what you do. 1 in 5 love you no matter what you do. Both of them probably biased either way too much. Then there's 3 in 5 that if you behave well, respectful, show integrity, do your best, normally that's the way. So no matter what you do, reality is someone will not like you. But I keep doing what I do and what I believe in. And then the last bit, by the way, have perspective in life, which I have in abundance. So looking forward to the game tomorrow. So he says, whatever he does, there's going to be people who doesn't like him. 1 in 5 people, they're just not going to like you whatever you do.
As someone says in the comments there, it's more waffle, jargon and waffle. That's all that is. It's absolute rubbish. I do agree with him, though, that in a sense that if he turns the results around and we start getting consistent results, he will turn fans around. That will happen, but he's not going to be afforded the time to do that, nor should he be, because of what he's shown so far.
Yeah. Tomorrow's going to be very interesting because either way, there's going to be, unless it's like a draw, which we didn't play badly in, then I don't know what we do. But it'd be interesting to see how things change after tomorrow. Will that tomorrow be his last game? Will he actually pull out a performance and a result?
I think it will be his last game. I think it will. I think the way the game's going to go, I think is probably how we all expect it to go. And I think the fans are going to speak again, probably louder than they spoke against the game on the weekend against West Ham. And as Matt Law says, the louder the fans speak, the more likely they are to make a decision. So, yeah, I think that's the situation we're in.
Yeah, I think that's where it's all pointing to at the moment. I'm surprised he's been given this game. I'm shocked he is going to be in the dugout for tomorrow. I don't know. I just got this feeling that it's not as imminent as we think, but I just hope I'm wrong.
You are, hopefully. I'm praying. I'm praying you are, because we need to end this, man.
He's going to be in charge on Saturday. I've just got a feeling he's going to be in charge on Saturday. When's our next time we have a week break? Is that not? When's that? Is that February?
A week break?
Like a no midweek game.
The next time we have a week break is, where are we? Is after the City game. We got Frankfurt, then City, then a week break, and Man U.
And that's just after Jan.
Yeah, that's the first week of Feb.
Could they wait till then? I don't know. I've just got a feeling that we're all hoping it's really, really imminent, and maybe it's not as imminent as we think. I don't know.
Well, it's obviously not as imminent as we thought, because we thought it was going to happen yesterday. That's the reality. But yeah, I thought they had no option after the West Ham game. I don't think. I mean, they surely don't have an option if the fans speak as loudly as I think they're going to. Surely there's no option, especially with what Matt Law's saying as well.
I know, but there is a bit of justification tomorrow. If you haven't sacked him yet, then so basing your decision on whether to sack him on tomorrow seems a bit like, will they do that?
But I don't understand what they're waiting for.
That's why I know that. For sure, I don't know what they've waited for. They still got him in charge. But why would their opinion change based on what happens tomorrow? That doesn't make any sense. Unless they've made a decision of just giving him this game for no reason, just to do it.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier today, I think that
I can't see him, if we win tomorrow, I can't see him sacking him. I can't see it.
Well, I've been saying, well, we know we're not going to win tomorrow, but I think it's all about the interim and about who they think is going to take the interim role. If they have someone in place, I think they'll make the decision.
If we win and we move into the top 8, and then it's like, oh no, we're in the top 8, look, it's great, and then look, we could avoid that playoff game, and then they're like, okay, maybe we'll give them another game. I can just so see that happening if we do win. I can't see us winning. Don't get me wrong, but if we were to somehow pull off a result, I can't see them sacking him ahead of the Burnley game. I think they would have to give him the Burnley game. Don't have to. Sorry, I think they will give him the Burnley game.
Well, all will be revealed in the next 24 to 48 hours, eh?
A lot happening, yeah.
We've been primed and ready for the sacking for 24 hours.
I really thought this, to be honest, I really thought this morning it was going to be announced. I really did, but they surprised me.
Every Spurs fan woke up so excited this morning.
Last night, everyone was celebrating like it was done. There was all the celebration memes going around. There was everyone's going
like, saying, "We're free, we're free."
It was over, and we're far from over. It seems so. Well, not far, but it's not over yet.
Yeah, but you know what? It's hard to even get excited because of who's running the club.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we sack Frank.
Then what?
Exactly. Do we see things getting any better? Because I don't. That's the problem we're in right now. So it kind of makes it a bit null and void.
I can't exactly get excited for an interim, can I? Let's be honest. I think it's a weird situation to be in, because I do in general think employing an interim is not a good idea. Like, it's very rarely successful over a long stretch of time, like 6 months, maybe for a few weeks, but it's never a situation you want to find yourself in. It's always usually a bad idea to put an interim in, but sometimes the things do become so toxic and so bad that the situation calls for it. And this might be one of them. I think it is one of them, but it's just, I don't like calling for an interim because I don't think it's good. But but then again, I just can't stand watching this football any longer. I just can't. It's horrible. Oh, it's such a shit situation to be in.
We're just in a very shit situation, and doesn't seem to be a way out, no matter who the manager is. That's the reality.
Every time we find ourselves back here.
But look, that is some sort of match preview. Let us know your score predictions in the comment section below.